Texas.
All right, what's up, everybody? Good to see you after our 1 week hiatus, if you will, our bye week. I'm Texas Jayhawk. Welcome back to another episode of Just Talking Ball. And as always, I got my trusty sidekick, my co-host, my partner, Eric Foster in the building. What's going on, man?
It's game week, baby.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, all around, and it's a lot to talk about. It's been a good start. It's been a good start. I don't think it's been a predictable start. I mean, at any level of football, but I mean, it's definitely been an exciting and different start. Now, we'll get into wins and losses in a little bit, but I mean, I just got to get right into it, man. I got to get right into it. What am I mad about? I'm ready to start this thing off hot. I'm gonna go from. I got about three things. I'm gonna say the obvious one first, and the obvious one is Kansas lost to Cincinnati, and they had the game won at home. And you starting off Big 12 play, when you got something like that, you can't let that go. You still trying to figure out who you are as a team, and you can't fumble the bag. And I'll get into more detail of it. And then of course we talk about losing, not necessarily a loss with my Dallas Cowboys, but just the fact that I'm not a tie in the NFL. What is that about? Like, I can't respect that in the highest level of football. You can end the game with a tie. Take a note from the NCAA. Take a note from Texas high school football. I mean, a tie. What do you think about that? And I'm gonna take it a step further. But like, what do you think about ties in the NFL?
I think I respect what they're trying to do in the sense of you don't want to, because in this scenario, if you don't, right, what's the remedy? Another overtime, another 10-minute overtime period. And so I think I respect what the league is trying to do in the sense of they're trying to reduce plays, right, and reduce injuries and all the things that tie into it. That's sort of how we got here in the first place. And you look at all the rules with the halo helmets, you're looking at the kickoff changes. So I get it. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of with you on, I don't love it, but I don't know that there's a remedy that's going to make anybody happy, because if they come out and say, okay, well, guys, in order so that doesn't happen, we're going to add another 10-minute overtime period. Well, the NFLPA is not going to be happy about that.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you're playing the game, and obviously I'm not in the NFL, but it's like right now it's okay. But when it comes down to playoff contention and wins and losses, because ultimately that's what it's about, wins and losses. So like you say, nobody's ever going to be happy about it, but like, it's like you're going backwards. It's like, okay, we gave you a shot. It's a tie. Way back before, when it was sudden death, it was like, oh, we don't like that either, even though it would equal up to less plays because whoever scored first won the game.
Well, then
they start crying now, I don't have a chance. We don't have a chance.
Introduces a level of so I think it's pick your poison, right? Because here, you take away the element of luck, because in the original scenario, and I think the numbers were crazy, of the percentage of teams that won the coin toss went on to win overtime.
Yeah.
Because they go on to score first. So that introduces probably more luck into the scenario than we want in professional sports.
But I mean, that's part of the game. I mean, I'd rather that be the case than a tie. Like a tie, But I mean,
I like this. I think, me personally, I like if you're just telling me I only have the choice between those two things, mm-hmm. I think I'd say give me this, because ties still don't happen all that often, right? Yeah. And it's only in the regular season, right? It's not gonna happen in a playoff game.
And if it's gonna happen, it's only gonna happen to the Dallas Cowboys. And that would take me into my next.
I know you and I are very big on we don't come from a moral victory world, but mind you, Dallas was supposed to get run down in this game.
Well, yeah,
says everybody.
Well, yeah, that's what they say, but then you can't hold, and this is going into the Jayhawks, I'll get in later, but okay, you tie the game up, you go and you score 3, now it's 40-37. You can't hold a team for, what was it, a minute or some seconds, and then you're at home. I mean, come on, man. You talk about a little bit of luck. How average football play, maybe the numbers have changed, but the average football play is supposed to last 6.5 to 7 seconds. It was 7 seconds when Jordan Love snapped that ball and threw that pass, and it was incomplete in the back of the end zone, and then all of a sudden there's a second left. You gotta let that run off, baby. And that's what you're like. We
You
get
said
the win.
where's the level of home cooking?
That we ain't got none at all. You can't be at home and still get treated. And it's crazy. And it's funny enough. I'm not gonna really give a personal opinion. I watched Chris Collinsworth as a commentator. I watched him play for the Cincinnati Bengals when I was a little boy, productive player. But he said it right at the end when Dallas went up and kind of had some momentum. He said, "Oh, don't think by any stretch that this game is over because just ask the New York Giants." And that was a game that they came back and folded on and blah blah blah. Or no, we won that one, but it was ugly. But I mean, I just don't.
Said it in real time. I thought both teams made timing mistakes. Because I really thought the way Green Bay was kind of getting whatever they wanted on the last couple of drives, I really thought they could have killed the clock.
Yeah, well,
especially knowing they only, they were there. They were right there, and they went in.
And I think you're right. And I think, but as being a Cowboys fan and knowing how unstable we are, I thought right there, that play right there, that's Micah Parsons. I'm not going to say, oh, Dak should have scored. But then on the TV, they said, well, if Micah Parsons doesn't make that play, Dak scores. No, he doesn't. He probably gets his head knocked off by number 56. So, it's okay, we're in field goal range, and Dak made some plays. Throws. It could have been a little bit of luck. And that was like a 4 to 7 minute, that's a big window, 4 to 5.5 minute drive. Okay. Green Bay gets it and marches right down, just walks through us like wet toilet paper. And it's the same thing with Kansas. I guess that's a personal problem. But yeah, but I digress. Like you say, they're marching out. Yeah, so they start to drive and then you can't get a stop on 4th and 6. And then your boy Matthew Golden, the rookie out of Texas, makes a hell of a clutch, catch on 4th down. I'm like, what the hell, man? Do something different on 4th down they hadn't seen. You're gonna win the game, but so that's 2 of the 3 things I'm mad about. Your Colts are sitting pretty, but I think they lost this past week, huh? Misery,
that was our
first
loss.
Misery loves company. Yeah, no doubt. Believe me, I'm not putting my Cowboys up against no one. But going from the other side of things, the coaching standpoint, and you're gonna weigh in on this big, or the other duties as a side. You got to deal with media. You got to deal with criticism. I kind of take it with a grain of salt. That's the job. This could be a discussion and stuff. I watched Rory McElroy do an interview today about the Ryder Cup. I'm kind of going off script, but I'm coming back to it where, the Ryder Cup this past weekend and how the American people were so disrespectful. I think someone hit his wife in the head with a water bottle, and they were screaming during his backstroke, and they were, saying derogatory things, and his family is right there. And he said, I will never play another tournament in the United States. Just like he said, this isn't pro wrestling. This is a game of, quiet and calmness. And it's a great, and it was well spoken, well put, justified in every part of it. And it's an embarrassment to America. Sorry, I kind of went off that. But yes, so Ben Johnson, who is the new head coach of the Chicago Bears, who is considered to be a savant offensively anyway, was OC for the Detroit Lions last couple years. Halftime interviews, we watch sports, and there's these halftime interviews, and depending on what the course or how the game is going for that particular team and coach, your emotion is going to be a certain way because you care. If we're not winning, I'm pissed off, I'm upset, I'm figuring out how can we get this ship turned around, what can we do, and then you got to take a in-game or coming out the tunnel interview. And I'm going to put this clip on. This was the interview, and they were, I guess, obviously with the context, they were getting shellacked, to say the least.
Advantage of those takeaways.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you tell them to get things going?
That it wasn't our brand of football. We're capable of a lot more, and so we're hitting the reset button here at halftime, and we're going to come back and establish our identity here in the second half.
So you need to change what you're doing.
I don't know. You think so? We're going to be just fine.
I watch it and I laugh on it because I'm not there, and at least that wasn't me. But what is your take off that initial interaction right there, seeing it right there?
So that was my first time seeing it.
Okay.
And I felt like what she was trying to do was because what reporters will sometimes do is take what you say and kind of like paraphrase it back to you. And that's kind of what I felt like she was trying to do. She just didn't execute it well. I thought she was trying to say, so essentially you told them you need to change what you're doing. Right.
Yes, but
it wasn't
the way
her,
but the way she looked at him and kind of said it,
and I think to him, it felt like she was maybe interjecting her personal opinion, which I highly doubt that was the case. I think it was just kind of a mix up.
And
it's even worse that he issued an apology because I don't think he did.
And that's what I said. He didn't do anything wrong.
He did absolutely anything wrong. I don't think he did anything wrong.
I've heard he's one of the nicest guys in the world. So I guess that's probably why he manners, being a gentleman, manners. And like I say, I'm not saying because it's male or female, but just a person, even if it was a male, it's like, my bad. And obviously we're a little more edgier when things aren't going right, when you've got to deal with general managers and owners and the media at home and all this stuff, and you're trying to win this game, so it's like, now I got to hear that. And, just watching their faces, because what really, in my opinion, made them take off was the way she kind of looked at him and said, you got to change what you're doing. He kind of was like, oh, you think so? And then he kind of did get in her face. And I'm not here to criticize.
I think maybe, and I've got to see his apology, but I think he probably looked back at it and saw what I saw.
I looked a little aggressive,
I think I see what she meant.
No doubt. Yeah.
And I probably was a little more aggressive than I would have been had I caught that.
Yeah. Those things are tough, man. It doesn't get any easier, and then it's like, it's a no win. You've got to kind of be just so stoic. And, even like you say, they prompt you and they try to pull, things out of you, and not necessarily bad things, but what did you say? What do you need to change? And you kind of like, you got to be like Bill Belichick, just like, and Nick Saban, like, just straight.
This is what we want. And that's why I say I hate to apologize, because I think this is what we want in sports media in general, is authenticity and real moments from real people. Why else would you be sticking a camera in somebody's face?
Yeah.
In those moments, because you want real reactions. You look at, some of the most successful things now are athlete driven podcasts. You're looking at, I read an article, I was looking at the statistics. One of Netflix's most popular shows was sort of like, they produced this behind the scenes documentary about WrestleMania, which, for those unfamiliar, professional wrestling, a scripted,
it's real.
a scripted athletic event. And one of the most popular shows on all of Netflix was the behind the scenes and the build up to how you create those stories. So if we want real emotions and real reactions from people, we've got to be able to take those for what they are in the moment. I do think it's going to challenge other folks at all levels to step up their media training. And I do think we expect people to operate with a certain level of decorum. But I think we'll see a lot more of this, and probably a lot worse in the future, as we try to find that mix of making people at home, feel even more a part of the game and a part of the program, but also realizing, we've got to deal with how these coaches and athletes are reacting in real time and how they feel in real time.
Yeah, because it's so touchy, because like I say, the access, because every part of the job is not pleasant. I've gotten, as a position coach, a coordinator, I've gotten ripped by my boss. Everybody has a boss, and you got to learn how to handle it professionally. You got to learn how to take it and move on and use it. Obviously, we're on the same team. It's not to demean me, but sometimes you don't trust the media, because there's not so good people in every aspect, in every different things of walks of life. So it's hard, because you're trying to build a team, you're trying to build a successful season, and you preach things about the only thing that matters are the people within these four walls. But we're in a social media age where news is right now, and got you.
The media is darned if they do, darned if they don't, right? Because you go back to the moment of, when they asked Sark about, Arch being in some pain, and he's like, well, who told you that?
Yeah,
my eyes told me that, so kind of shamed him for asking the question. But then on the other side,
You're trying to protect people,
the
and
fans would have shamed the media afterwards. Like, why didn't y'all ask this very obvious question?
that's what I'm saying. It's ugh. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But I mean, that was just a sprinkle. I mean, obviously we get, you could look it up after this. He apologized. I just saw it briefly that he issued an apology, and I mean, commendable on his part. You're not gonna please everybody. You're not gonna please everybody, and everybody can pick up a microphone. Everybody can get an account and comment and say this no matter what. So you can't live this life to please people. You're playing a game. You're coaching because you love it. You don't sign up to lose. But anyway, I digress. So we're gonna move forward because I want to I don't want to talk about Kansas losing, but we did. And so this past weekend, funny when you didn't have a game. This past weekend we played Cincinnati, and I don't know. I think I need to come at this from just a team, not criticism, but just observation. There was no defense being played. The quarterback for Cincinnati threw for 388 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Jalen Daniels threw for 445 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. I think, I'm not going to think. I'm going to tell you. Total yard, Cincinnati had 603 yards of total offense. Kansas had 597 yards of total offense. Are you kidding me? Like, I mean, I don't know. Our leading receiver, Emmanuel Henderson, had 5 catches for 214 yards. Their leading receiver had 11 catches for 128 yards. So I'm not down in the defense, but damn, somebody should have played some, at least at one time. So it leads me to go into the same thing I was talking about with Dallas. You see, you just saw it right there. We gave Cincinnati the ball with like a minute 14, and we can't hold them one time to win the damn game, a conference game. And I mean, I just don't understand. I mean, it's like I was reading something with Nick Saban, and there's 2 things, just reading certain things, and he talked about 2 things. He said either you're going to have to endure the pain of discipline or the pain of disappointment. And it's like that's always us, the disappointment, at the end. When he talks about the inner clock, the inner scoreboard, we're too busy exhaling at the wrong time and looking at the scoreboard and say, oh, we got this 1-1, and then the other team comes and rips it right from underneath us, and then we gotta, like you saw, try to do a trick play, 29 seconds left with no timeouts, and try to go win the game. So like, it's a game Kansas had in control. It's a game Kansas should have won. Obviously this is not last year, but they beat them last year. So now you're starting off conference play 0-1, where you could have easily, I say easily, 597 yards of total offense, could be 1-0. Now you got to go on the road where you traditionally don't do well, and you got to go to Orlando this upcoming weekend, and then you got to go to a team who is being tagged as the best team in the Big 12 in Lubbock at Texas Tech. So it's not about to get easier. So I mean, I don't know. I
think you're at I think you've gotten to a crossroads that usually for some comes a little later in the season. But I think you're going to have to, one way or another, find out, who your team is. And I think it goes back to kind of what we were talking about later in last season is I think you do start to have to ask, are you guys turning the corner of having a winning culture?
Yeah.
Which is when, and that you have a winning culture when those 50-50 games go your way 70% of the time. That's a winning culture.
And that's something I would like to look up. And I will say this though. I didn't see like no loser body language. I didn't see just dumb stuff. It's just as a team, like you're not putting it together. You're not finishing. Like I say, you're not talked for the last 2-3 years. And when we lose games, I say, oh, we turned the ball over. The quarterback threw an interception. Dude, he didn't throw one pick, So I'm looking for nobody to blame. But obviously, 3 phases of the game, when you go back to evaluate it, offense, defense, special teams, obviously when you give up 600 yards on offense, on defense, that's not a normal thing. You know what I'm saying? Now, our offense paced with them, you know, and we did have the ball. You know, it's just it is.
I guess I was beating around it, but I think right now you're seeing you guys don't have a winning culture where you come away with.
Well, I know what you were saying.
Those wins where you just find a way, and I'm telling you, as a fan of a program who has it now but didn't have it 4 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And it looks very different. You feel very different. You come away with this solemn feeling of, I know that we are going to find a way from the top down. We're going to find a way to pull this out. And I think that's where Kansas has to go, is turning that corner eventually of finding out and figuring out ways to win.
And I totally agree. And you're right. And I think when you talk about, I think about three things, and I think I'm right in the middle. Like before, it was like, I hope we can hold on, or we're probably going to lose. Or like we're in the middle where we've established some winning in the last couple of years.
We should win, but I don't know.
Yeah. But because, okay, we're an inexperienced team, but we got a 6-year quarterback that's been there the whole time, but he can't do it all on his own. You know, so we're kind of like right there, because I don't look at the fact that we were favored to win this game. We're even favored to go win against Central Florida, but it's only a 3.5 point spread. But still, like, those weren't that wasn't the storyline for Kansas in the past. I don't care who was playing, especially on the road. You know what I'm saying? Especially on the road. We had one of the worst losing records in Big 12 Conference on the road, you know, in a while.
But
so,
does it matter that that's the storyline if you don't start turning them into wins?
Well, I think that would be told after the fact, but I'm just saying, like, not just me being, if you'll say, a delusional fan, it's the others that are outside that don't care about Kansas, that's looking at how they played, what they've got coming back, and they're saying, okay, they should have beat Cincinnati.
I just sat here and this applies to Kansas as much as Texas, as much as anybody else. I just sat here and had a conversation because we were talking about in this, you know, huge Texas group chat that we have.
So I'm not part of that one.
When everyone's, you think I'm delusional, boy, let me tell you. But we were talking about all the movement around college football and where Texas should go. And okay, well, this team beat that team, so that means that. I think college football has finally reached a level of parity where, one, it is truly about the matchup. 4 years ago, it didn't matter who Alabama played. It didn't matter who Georgia played. It didn't matter who Clemson played. The win was going to be the win. Doesn't matter what their style was. Doesn't matter any those dominant teams,
especially with Alabama.
Those dominant teams were going to prevail.
Yeah.
Right now, I could think of 2 to 3 teams that could beat Alabama, 2 to 3 teams that could beat Georgia, 2 to 3 teams that could beat Texas, right? Because of the matchup. So I think the national champion this year is going to be not necessarily who has the easiest road, but who has the matchups that fit them best. And I think that's what Kansas is finding out is, you know, on paper, you're probably more talented than Cincinnati, right? But it's a matchup of, if I can't stop you and you can't stop me, is who got the ball last, right? Yeah. So that's a factor in the matchup. Probably going to be pretty similar going down to Orlando. It's going to be a lot different. Is Lubbock coming to Lawrence?
No, we're going to Lubbock. No, we're going
to Lubbock. Now I think that is where that's going to tell you more than anything. You know, how you play in that game against a team that some would argue is more talented. You're on the road in a very small but hostile environment.
Always a shot from a Texas fan.
We can be honest.
No, I know, but
I've been telling people this for the last month. Like in America, we got an honesty problem. We just need to be able to call things what they are. It is a formidable environment, but it's small.
In the words of Dave Chappelle, brittle spirit. People got a brittle spirit,
spirit, and you got to be able to take the compliment in that. Yeah. It's a formidable environment.
Yeah.
You should be happy that 80,000 people get that loud. I don't even think it's 80,000. Honestly think I'm being generous. I really do.
I don't know how much the Jones
However
hold,
many
but
people it is,
no, you're right.
you ought to be happy that they can swing a game in that way, because very few programs have let me say it this way. A lot of programs have a home field advantage. Very few have a home field advantage that shows up on the scoreboard.
And
saying that to say y'all got to have this one.
No doubt. And I was saying, I was just about to, you took it in a different way. I said the margin. When you're a team that's doesn't really have an identity, Devin Neal's gone, all three of the leading receivers are gone. You've got a quarterback, but you're still trying to figure out. Now there's some guys, the Emmanuel Henderson kid, the Alabama transfer, is emerging. I mean, he's a boom, return the kick. I mean, he's big, but where I'm at in that middle of the road, you should have beaten Missouri, gained some momentum beating the SEC team. You damn sure should have beat Cincinnati. We should have beat Missouri. Damn sure should have beat Cincinnati. You got to stack, huh?
You're not gonna rage bait me into that argument.
No, it's not a rage. No, I don't give a damn what you say. I'll rage bait myself. Damn, we should have beat Missouri. But you got to have those. You gotta stack those wins, man, because the second half of that Big 12 schedule is gonna get tough, man. And when we're talking about, what are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? You're talking about becoming bowl eligible, maybe then being in contention for the Big 12, title. Like what are we talking about? But you got to stack these early wins, man, where you're supposed to win the games that you're supposed to win. You know what I'm saying? And so it's over. Water under the bridge. So they're headed down to Orlando. Funny little fact I saw. It's funny enough because I remember when what do you remember what your freshman year of high school was?
04, I think.
Okay, so you weren't even in high school yet. So this was like my second year at Crockett. That's the last time Kansas had been in Orlando, 2003, where they played NC State in the Tangerine Bowl. You know who the quarterback was at Tangerine for North Carolina State?
No.
Phillip Rivers.
Okay.
And he roasted us for like 400 some yards. But Kansas hadn't been to a bowl game since then. That was Coach Mangino's like second year. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. So fast forward, man, we're going to play Central Florida. They're 3-1. They non-conference wins. They just lost their first Big 12 conference game against Kansas State. But Coach Scott Frost. I don't have it in front of me. Oh, I lie. 34-20.
Okay.
So Scott Frost. Yeah. So his second stint there, played against Coach Scott Frost when he was at Nebraska and I was at Kansas. They're 3-1, 0-1 in the Big 12. They beat, who did they beat? I wrote it down. They beat Jacksonville State, North Carolina A&T, but they did beat North Carolina. And I think they beat them. Then they beat them there. Was that the game that was on that Friday night game when everybody was there? That wasn't that
where they got whipped on pretty good.
Yeah,
it was that one.
Yeah. So but like I say, we're coming in. We're coming in. I don't know. Another funny stat is Jalen Daniels threw 14 touchdown passes all year last year, and he had a crazy amount of interceptions. He's already thrown 14 this year. So he is playing well. He's always, like say, the quarterback position is the one that gets too much credit, but then also gets too much criticism. So, I'm not going to be one of those guys. The numbers don't lie, So, I mean, this kid just threw for over 400 yards. He had 500 yards of total offense by himself and no turnovers. You can't ask this kid to do anymore, So right. the team has got to, they've got to catch up, So we're, like I said, we're a 3.5 point favorite. I'm not going to sit here and disrespect them and say there's nothing special about Central Florida. They're 3-1. Hell, we're 3-2. So we'll see, man. But I mean, I'm so bothered. And I guess I could be encouraged, but that's a loser's mentality.
Well, I don't think anybody. I will be the.
Well, I'm gonna say it's loser mentality to say that the two games we've lost, that it wasn't that bad. No, that's a loser ass mentality. So that's what I'm not gonna say.
I'll say I think the saving grace is nothing across all of college football other than Oregon making to the playoffs is set in stone. Looking at their schedule, they're going to sleep. That's why people are like, oh, Dan Lanny's too emotional. I was like, he was excited because he knew that was the only hiccup on their schedule before the Big Ten championship game. They got an Indiana team coming into town that is a good. No way. I'll die on that hill. There's no way. You don't got the guy. You don't have the guys.
I don't.
And
you know,
when have we seen? And I think that's what we got to look at. We see.
I got to go back and watch their film.
We see it. We see an Appalachian State beat what was a bad Michigan team, but there was a talent disparity. Yeah. When do we see a team that don't have the guys upset top 3 teams in college football? That just doesn't really happen.
I don't know.
You will see it in a rivalry game, a Texas, Oklahoma, Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State. You'll see it in that kind of scenario, but a non-rivalry game, and normally those rivals are pretty close to one another, so it's not a have not. It's an injury, down year, what have you. But Indiana truly, man for man on their roster, if we lined up the 22 spots, Oregon's probably better in 20 of the 22, right? That's just a fact, and I think we can be honest about that. So when do we see those? You say
top 3. Yeah, I mean, on top 3. I mean,
it doesn't have it doesn't happen because the gap
that's a small. It is.
The gap is too great.
And like I said, the closest you have was last year, and it's obviously that's so funny because that game is this week. The Vanderbilt Alabama game. Alabama was number 17. So and even still, nobody. That roster, even though it's not Nick Saban's Alabama.
I will say. And probably, and now that you'd say that, and I was about to say what I was about to say about Diego Pavia, A&M and Alabama is probably the only one that comes to mind. Mm-hmm. But look at what they have in a quarterback that can win the game by himself, right? So I think you have to add that into the mix.
You're saying Diego Pavia is that type of player?
Oh, absolutely. Without Diego Pavia, if you just give
they don't have a chance without him. But do you think he's that good that he impacts against any team that he can win it on his own? Like if he just says,
not any team. I think Alabama had to help them last year. That wasn't it wasn't a Vanderbilt. We helped them keep the game close. It wasn't just Vanderbilt came in and
I agree. Yeah,
I think those teams helped, but now I think you'll see a distinct shift because again, it's really easy to sneak punch somebody when they don't see you coming.
That's my motto. That's my motto. That's my motto. And let's see how good you are when they know you coming.
And now that you have to go to
champion, what title town?
Now that you have to go to Tuscaloosa. And it's a night game, and they are roaring and ready to go.
And they look good against Georgia too. They look good against Georgia.
We're going to see a game that Alabama probably wins. Alabama's probably going to whoop on them pretty good. I mean, because they're in a. I think Texas and Alabama are in very similar spots right now, where early in the seasons they faced some crisis of confidence. Some setbacks that maybe many didn't anticipate.
Well, I think that goes back to what you just said about last year. Alabama, like I said, helped them because everybody was down on them. Where the hell is Nick Saban? And you got a team that had nothing to lose, and they just let it fly. And so that was the intangibles about it. Like Alabama had no confidence last year because of just what was happening. Yeah. So that I agree.
And now I feel, and again, I'll talk about it from the Texas perspective when I get to Texas in a second. But I think we're going to see Alabama exercise some demons, and sort of announce that we're getting back to who we are. Yeah, and it's no longer about you; it's about us. And I think Texas is in a very similar situation where weather may impact the margin, but I think you will see a Texas team that is intent on proving a message. Intent on sending a message. I don't know. I think what we were originally talking about was a team's ability to win and a team's ability to exercise some demons. And I was originally saying that nothing's set in stone right now.
Yeah.
So across the Big 12, no team has stood out and showed that they are unbeatable. Has Texas Tech maybe
look the sharpest,
created the perception of distance?
Agreed. Agreed. And like you say, it's not in the same boat as like what you said about Oregon, where now everybody in their schedule, they're gonna just dog walk.
Absolutely not. You can look at Texas Tech and see some legitimate tough games. I looked at Oregon's schedule and I said, I don't see a team that's going to, honestly, until the Big Ten championship, I don't see a team that's going to come within 17 points of Oregon. And I'm being so generous because I want to stay respectful.
And like you say, just as look at it, Texas Tech plays Houston this weekend, which they should win. But then you play Kansas, they play Arizona State, Oklahoma State, they play Kansas State, BYU, Central Florida, and West Virginia. So,
and I can see some trip ups there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, Kansas is still in a position to,
no doubt,
take care of. I think until you get to, in the Big 12 in particular, probably you got to get to that third conference loss before you're out of it.
Yeah.
But I think you can absorb one, probably even two, if you win the right mix.
Shit, yeah. That's just one, and that's my mentality. No, I'm just like, I want them all, especially when it was realistic to win it. Not to say, I want to win every game. No,
I also think the window's closing, and I think if we're again back to not having that brittle spirit, certain programs, I think you have a window every 4 years. Some programs have a window every year. Some programs have a window every 2 to 3 years. Some programs have a window every 3 to 4. Right. Some programs never get a window. So it's not a shot in the way that it may sound. I think Kansas fits in that bucket of,
they've got to build some guys back up. They got to build a roster.
They're going to get you in. They're going to develop you, and that development takes time.
Yeah.
So probably only see the payoffs every 3 years.
Yeah, because I don't know where we'd be or how I'd be talking if we didn't have Jalen Daniels, because that wasn't a sure thing until midway through the offseason that he was coming back. So how about not having a quarterback, having a brand new quarterback, brand new running back, brand new receivers? You know what I'm saying?
So I think I think what I was saying was, if everybody's being honest and coaches and players and everybody saying, this is our window.
Yeah.
This is our window. And we have to play like it and focus like it and lock in that this is our window right now.
Well, we need to go down to Orlando and take care of business. It will be going. It is a 6:30 kickoff, and it's during another game we'll talk about later on in the thing. So finally, 2 weeks or a week and a half, however you want to look at the numbers, 9 days, 8 days, the Horns are back in action and they're going down to Gainesville. Tell me about it. Tell me what you think about it.
I'm excited to see us be who I think we are, who we thought we were, and it starts on the road. It starts with, we're going to have to win a game in nasty weather, which it's supposed to be rainy. Yeah, it's supposed to be rainy and gross. It truly, the swamp should live up to its name on Saturday, and that's a advantage Texas. Yeah. If throwing the ball puts you at a disadvantage, so that means you got to run the ball. I think Texas is leading the SEC and number 3 in all of FBS and rushing yards allowed, and I don't think they've allowed a rushing touchdown all season.
Jesus.
So very stout. Well, I mean, they're the best defense in the SEC, period. But when you break it down into individual things, I think the stats even get a little more gaudy. So I'm excited to play a team with a live pulse and watch everybody start to slowly walk back the Arch is the biggest bust since Jamarcus Russell. Walk back the and you hear it all and you catalog it all and you have to. And I'm glad Sark, kind of said it and put it in real terms, is where I think we got really used to Quinn Ewers and you never, if I just watched his body language, I never knew if he was having good game, bad game. I think we put the tapes side by side. I saw something that put the tapes side by side of like the Oklahoma State game where I think he might have been 10 for 40. Like he had a awful game. And then the where he played Oklahoma State in the Big 12 championship and set a passing record, touchdown record. And it literally, he was just stoic and the same. And Sark was like, Arch is not that. Yeah. Arch is emotional. Arch has to let that out before he gets on to the next play. And that'll be a part of his growth and his maturity.
Exactly.
But I don't mind that at all. If that's what it takes to keep you locked in and focused.
Why not? Why not? Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, but so I mean, you're 6.5 point favorite.
I think we whip them. Honestly, I was telling that I'm way ahead of my friends who are a little more cautiously optimistic. Nobody's predicting an upset except for Josh Pate. I saw you. With the exception of Josh Pate, I think everyone is predicting Texas to win, but everyone's projecting kind of a close game. I think Texas whoops on them.
So you're already making plans for the state fair. You're already getting ready for Dallas.
Well,
you're already getting ready for Dallas
for other reasons. But yeah, you don't look ahead. I don't think and luckily because of our struggles, because of all of those things, I think this team doesn't have that luxury of the rat poison to even be focused on that.
You're exactly right.
They are 100%, or I predict that they are 100% focused and locked in and eyes towards Gainesville. And I think the end result, you're looking at the injury report, Florida's banged up a little bit. I think, again, they're facing a crisis of confidence. So the first bit of
a possible program shift. Yeah.
I think they're mentally, they are so fragile at this state that if I'm Sark, I'm probably taking the ball. Even if I win the toss, I'm taking the ball, and I want to put maximum amount of pressure on them mentally, physically from the jump, because I think I think it goes one of two ways. Either they gain some confidence, and I'm sure, hitting and playing against nobody for 2 weeks makes you think you're real good.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they feel, a lot better coming off a bye week as well. So I think you want to stomp out any remnants of confidence that they could possibly have.
But on the other end, you get healthy, you rest up, and you kind of see how things are shaping up. So it's give and take. And like
I'm excited. We're getting back pretty healthy. I think
exactly. Will you have your running back? Will you have your running back? The
starting running back. CJ Baxter is questionable.
Okay.
So, or doubtful. So I think it's out, doubtful, questionable, probable.
Yeah. So you boy Wisner, that's his name.
Wisener.
His neck is healed from all that damn jewelry he was wearing.
Yeah, Wisener is questionable. Okay. Mosley is questionable. I think they play. I think they play because you have to get to, and it depends on the injury, right? Like if it's a potential to re-aggravate or make it worse, or what have you. Okay, sit him if you don't think you need him, but I don't think you take any chances. I think you get everybody back and you get ready to roll, because you will have, finally this year Oklahoma should be in a position to hold up their end of the bargain. So I think you got to get ready for that. You go take these live body reps, and
I love the constant shade you throw. What the old boy says. Sensational. Yeah, you do throw shade at every turn. You do. Well, yeah. Anyway, I'm not gonna argue with you
about. They don't want to
it.
be blown out for the third time in 4 years. I get it. Like I'm very cognizant of that.
Oh, you got to get ready. Yeah, I don't want to look too far ahead, but I might have a special guest to come debate you next week. But we're gonna light it up a little bit, because I'm staying out of it. But yeah, so I know you're excited about that.
We should have College Game Day there. If they go take care of their business, I think they play Texas School for the Blind this week. They take care of business. We take care of business. We should slide up. I think it should be the first time both teams are ranked in the top 10 since 2008, I believe.
And the Texas School of the Blind team referring to is Kent State. That's who.
There we go. That's it.
And I wonder, that's probably not that big of a stat. when the last time Oklahoma was ranked ahead of Texas going into the Red River? Because
Oh, probably Sark's first year.
yeah, so 4 years, but 4 4 years,
Sark's first year,
or 4 years at least. Yeah,
maybe even the second year might have been close. The second year might have been close. The first year for sure, where we gave, you talk about giving a game away, boy. Don't even get me started.
well, I know you'd be excited. 2:30 kickoff, same time as your boy Diego Pavia plays against Alabama.
I think that game's. I really do. I think that game is going to be a stinker.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted. I'm saying you have the split screen on. Thank God for YouTube
No,
TV.
and I'm not even gonna watch that. Probably. Like, I think it'll be. I think both games will look bad, and because of the weather. Let me also give the caveat, because everybody's gonna say, "Well, the game was closer. You said they was gonna whoop them."
Yeah.
Okay. I'm meaning that in every sense of the word. I think you will watch the game. If you watch the game from kick to whistle,
yeah,
you will see that Texas is the better team, and at no point was Florida in danger of winning the game.
And exactly
That's what I mean when I say
because of weather, there's just some things that you can do. There's some things you can't do.
There's some things you can't do, throwing the ball 58 yards down the field to Ryan Wingo, because Florida does have, and it actually helps. While it helps us more, I think it does help Florida in the sense that Florida has, I think, 2 starting DBs out.
Wow.
While Texas is supposed to get all their wide receivers back. So the rain actually does help them in the sense of it tamps down what you're able to do with the pass game. But I do think Sark is creative enough in the quick and short game that if it's just not nasty enough that we can't catch a ball 10 yards in front of us, I think we should do enough to get out of it. I don't see Florida scoring. I won't say my actual prediction, but I don't think they'll score more than 10.
Say it.
I originally, pre-weather, I had 34-7.
It could get ugly like that.
But post weather, it could be 21-24-7. That feels 21-7 feels close.
Yeah. But looks close. But
looks close. But I think
once
you
the feel.
Look into the numbers, you will probably see something similar. Florida probably crosses the 50 3 times. That kind of game where just physically they may prevent Texas from maybe a lot of Texas field goals, may be able to keep Texas out of the high red area and the end zone. But I think just competitively, I expect to look at this game and just make the jerseys a neutral color and know who the better team was. That's my expectation.
Well, I can't wait. A lot of good matchups. 2:30 kickoff for you guys. So right now, man, we're gonna get into some chalk talk. We got another run game play. Old school power. Check it out. Today in our chalk talk, we're going to talk about the run play power. Power is an old school play, ran from what I can remember from watching football, when it used to be downhill, 2 back, tight end, 2 tight ends, 2 backs, what have you. But it's evolved so much. It's such a great play that now in the spread offenses and the up tempo offenses, they're running jet motions, they're running 1 back, they're reading it. So it's evolved in so many ways, but it's still at the end of the day a gap scheme, and it's a downhill run play. So let's talk about the rules and assignments of power right now. So it is a gap scheme run, like I said before, creates movement with double teams, and we're going to see some video examples of that, as well as we're going to get on the board in a second. Multiple ways to run it, different personnel groups, formations, etc. Motions, I mean, it's endless. If you can create something, as long as the line knows what they have to do, what the defense may see in the backfield, from the quarterback, from the formation, adds to the complexity of being able to stop it. It's a traditional way to run power is to use the backside guard, to pull and either kick out the man line of scrimmage or wrap up to the second level, meaning the guard is the only puller in this play. So he's coming around, wrapping, reading it, depending on if it's with a tight end, depending on whatever the scheme is. He's either kicking out the end man line of scrimmage or he's wrapping behind all those down blocks and he's climbing to the second level, which probably be the play side backer. That play side backer disappears, that he's going to climb to the third level. So talking about the assignments for power, the running back aiming point should be play side A gap, track off the gapping unit. We talked about the gapping unit when we talked about counter in the last episode. Should be a natural rub to the hip of the pulling guard. You got to give that guy enough time to come around and read it. Running backs should never be in a hurry when you've got linemen pulling, because I don't care how fast you are, how good you are, you can't go anywhere without you blocking. So starting from the right side, or we're running it to the right, play side tackle, if you will. Down block the first defensive lineman, okay? Driving vertical to the backside linebacker, depending on the front or offensive lineman could get a lock call and kick out the end-man line of scrimmage. And we'll see an example of a lock call in some video later on. Play side guard will work the double team with the tackle to the backside linebacker. The center will work backside A gap and allow no penetration to disrupt the pulling guard. The backside guard is going to pull with an angle to kick out the end-man line of scrimmage, or for the play side linebacker, or even a third level player, secondary player like we talked about. The backside tackle is going to hinge down to the backside B gap and seal that backside. So he's also going to make sure there's no run through or no penetration to disrupt that puller. And so we talk about the going back to the center. It's so important for that center to make sure there's no penetration to knock off that path of that pulling guard. Because you knock the path off the pulling guard, slows down the guard, which in turn slows down the running back, which slows the whole play down, and which the defense gets a good stop. So a lot of moving parts, but let's go to the board right now and let's see an example. Then we're going to watch some video.
Okay, now that we had a quick explanation of what the power play is and responsibilities and, you know, the aiming points and what the goal of it is, we just want to get on the board real quick and talk about it. And right here, I just wanted to show old school, like I right under center, how they used to run power back in the day. So let's line the defense up a little different. And let's just say, you know, let's get a shade. Let's go here. All right, so put the Will right there, Mike right there, put the Sam right there. Okay, so let's just talk about the box. Okay, so as we talked about the responsibilities earlier, ball snap right here. Let's start here. Okay, right now I'm gonna want this tight end to go right now to the Mike backer, middle linebacker. Let's get a double team here. Maybe we can climb to the back side there. We're back here. We're gonna zip gate, seal the backside B gap. This guard's gonna come around, wrap for this play side linebacker. This fullback or whatever position, but we'll call him a fullback for now. We used to be told back in the day when I was running in the I formation, the fullback would take an inside out angle or a J step. So he's inside and kicking this guy out. Running back, whatever the steps are, he may drop step, way to count. He's going, getting the ball, he's hitting it right up there. Okay, so that's old school power. You know, I formation, everybody's down gap scheme, turning up on the guy. So let's look at a different look real quick, or the different looks you could get. We're not going to get into a bunch of them. So let's see. We'll keep the tight end. But we'll go shotgun, and now we'll go one back. Okay. So might get something like this. Let's see here. Okay, so you might have a safety that may walk a little bit tighter. All right, so now we're in one back. So now this tight end is just gonna block out on this guy. We're still getting a double team here, trying to get back to this guy. He's back, zip gate, seal off the backside B gap. pulling up, it'll be for this guy or this guy. If he tries to run through, he might get caught up in this trash, and then we'll have someone for the safety, and we'll right up the gate. Okay, so there's multiple ways you can run. I'm going to show in some video on how in today's game where they're reading the power with the quarterback out of jet motion. There's so many ways to run power, but I just wanted to introduce the basic way of how power was and how it used to be ran. Two back, tight end, 21 personnel, getting after it, getting downhill. So let's look at some video.
Okay, so let's look at a few examples of power right here. So the first one we have is Kansas versus TCU last year. So we're in a pistol offset. We're just going to look at how this kind of unfolds. You see the fullback here, got a guy coming off the edge. Nobody's really lined up outside of the tight end, so he's down. Fullback inside out. The guy goes over the top, which is good for us. Running back's a little fast. Guard is there. Doesn't get to the guy that makes the tackle. Still a productive play. Look at it from the end zone. Fullback comes back in motion. Getting a double team. Well, actually, we don't. We're on single blocks right here because that 5 technique slants in. Inside out. So right here, it's a one back set. The tight end, offline tight end right here is just going to come in motion, and he's going to be the kick out guy. You see how he does a good job. He does a good job right there, settling inside so he can put himself in a good position to block inside out right there. See, he doesn't go too far to line up with him square. Inside number, gets his head across the inside. We got a double team by the right guard and the right tackle. They try to climb, but the center actually, the right guard gets up to the backside backer. Wow. And they have pressure coming from the secondary. Running back does a great job of sticking his foot and getting vertical because that's where it's at. Guard actually gets a wrap, comes around all the down blocks, including the tight end, which should be a kick out, but just the linebacker and the guard just meets up that way. Sometimes that's how football is. It never goes the way you draw it up. Great play, great run by the running back, great read. Here we go right here, one back power. Nobody, so right here you see, so nobody is lined up over the tight end. So he's just going to come down right now. Receiver actually goes inside and goes to the safety, leaves a corner for the running back, which is, you've heard me talk about it before. We like to block the safeties and make the corners make tackles because they're not great tacklers, and that's evidence of it right there. All right, so now we're going to get some variations of the power. So on the board, we talked about old school, downhill, under center, I formation, fullback, tailback, tight end in line, 21 personnel, downhill power. As the game has evolved, they're running power out of shotgun. Now you've got jet motion. Now you got power read. So let's just go right now to the end zone. So now you don't block the end. And if the end crashes down on the back, or should I say goes with, goes with the jet motion, then quarterback's going to keep it and follow right behind his guard right here. Like you see, Jalen Daniels does a great job. If the end or the end man on line of scrimmage, whoever's that last guy, if he plays quarterback and he sits his feet or he sits still, then the quarterback is going to give it, and we've got speed in his face, and he's going around right away on the jet motion. But right here in this scenario, he widened out with the jet, and quarterback did a great job of keeping it. See the guard coming around right there, boom. Quarterback makes a guy miss in the hole, safety. Great job. That's a power read, still in the power family. Everything is blocked the same way. Right now, you're just not blocking the end man on line of scrimmage. He becomes the read guy. Here we go. Same deal right here. Now, this is against Kansas versus Colorado last year at Arrowhead. So now you've given them downhill power. You've given them power read, jet motion, jet sweep out of a power look or influence. Now, pull it back, and now we throw the pass out of it. Same deal. See, we got our guard pulling. Left guard's coming around, selling that power read. You got the jet motion. Dump it right there to the tailback, who's usually the lead blocker on the jet sweep. Look at it from the end zone right here. Smoke and mirrors, pre-snap movements. Right guard wrapping around, but he does a great job of not getting across the line of scrimmage because he knows it's a pass play. Look at all these guys biting up on the jet sweep and the power. Great timing on the call, situation, field zone, tendencies, all that good stuff. This is this past weekend against Cincinnati in Lawrence. Same deal here. Given an empty look, we've got a quad set down here at the bottom. Wrapping around, power read look. Steps back, dumps it to the tight end. Guard does a hell of a job kicking out that guy who would be the read guy who almost gets in the quarterback's face and blows up the play altogether. Quarterback's calm, hits the tight end for a touchdown. Let's look at it from the end zone. Good job, good ball, easy pitch and catch. Look at the eyes of the defenders. Everybody's looking at all this read, jet motion. Tight end leaks out. This is from 2019, McNeese State versus Stephen F. Austin right here. We're running some one-back power. Nobody's lined up, like I said before in the example. Nobody's outside of the tight end right here, so he's going to be down, okay? Guard kicks out. Tailback says tight, gets vertical, does a hell of a job after contact. This kid was a fun kid to coach. Patience. Nice. About the same size too, but I think he was actually bigger in the legs than I was. All right, yeah. So talking about the power run, man. I mean, it's become so multiple where you can run it old school, traditional, two-back, tight end. You can run it just one-back power. You can run the power read. You can run the pass off of it. And, we saw some of those examples on the film. So, yeah, it's a good play, man. So, all right, we'll come to the moment of games to watch for and predictions. E is what besides Texas, Florida, is there a game that you're going to be on the lookout for? I think I already know the answer to it, but the game I thought you were going to like.
I've been so locked in on Florida. I had to pull up the schedule just to make sure that I didn't miss one. I'll take Miami, Florida State.
Yeah, that's the one because that's they're gonna be playing the same time we are, so I'll definitely be split screening that.
And then I'll probably keep an eye on Mississippi State traveling to College Station. Just to see, I think Mississippi State, when you're a team that wasn't supposed to be a whole lot, and maybe you start to surprise yourself. I think when you see that first crack in the slipper at midnight, you start to wonder, where am I? So I think dropping that one against Tennessee, that was the first crack. And I want to see if they've got enough about them to keep it competitive, or if they get run out of whatever that stadium is called.
You talking about Tennessee? I mean, not Tennessee. You just said it.
A&M. I know where it is.
Kyle Field.
Yeah, that's it. That one.
Well, you know what? I would like to. I don't know what time is. No, never mind.
6:30.
No, I was gonna say the game. Kansas State comes to Waco to play Baylor, and I'm looking for Baylor to kick them while they're down. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I thought Baylor's shown some potential, and K State is kind of like say crisis of confidence right now. And as much as I love Coach Kleiman, I'll say it every day, but it's still K State, and I want their ass to lose. But and then some people are laughing at the Clemson North Carolina matchup, like the battle for last place in the ACC. So but
I think
don't.
something's going to have to give. Something is going to have to give with Dabo Swinney and the modern day age that we are in with college football. And you're either going to get on board with it, or you're going to get run down, or Clemson may move back to one of those programs that, okay, if your motto is we are taking high school kids, we are going to develop them, then okay, your window may be every 3 years now.
Yeah, become a middle of the road team that they were like in the early 2000s.
And if people say that, and that sounds like a shot, but there may be only five programs in all the country that if you said, hey, every 3 years, I'm going to give you an opportunity to compete for a national championship, but the 2 years in between, you're winning 6 to 8 games. It's probably only 5 programs in the country that don't take that deal.
Yeah.
Everybody else is like, okay, like that is not it sounds bad maybe when you say it in the wrong context, but to be a program that has a window to compete for a championship every 3 years isn't the worst place to be.
Not at all, because let's be honest. Like I say, we're being honest. Clemson was starting to like scratch at like the dominance of Alabama, like getting into the national championship all the time. I mean, with different guys, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence. I mean, just all those guys that they had.
Boyd,
and these teams were winning. Like, oh, Clemson got it. Clemson got it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like. So I that's why I say, I kind of, people talk about, North Carolina Clemson matchup. Like, dude, people have a short memory though, that people don't really know ball, don't know what it is or what it takes. But like them, dude, I remember when people was on that Clemson wagon, you walk around Texas, and I mean the state of, it's like what sickens me about Philadelphia Eagles fan. All these Philadelphia Eagles fans in Texas, like, you haven't even left the state, but you're an Eagles fan. Or my great granddaddy was from Philly. I'm going, I hate Philadelphia. Shout out to you, boy Shano, for that. But yeah, so but like I say, I think Coach Swinney, I think he's a great coach. I think he's proven that he's a great coach, and he'll find a way.
But you've got to either embrace this world of college football or get out of the way.
Well, he's gotten one portal closed, so he got one chance for a portal closed. So. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I appreciate the time, man.
Name, image, and likeness of Jesus. That's how that program is built.
I'm not laughing at that.
Look, I hate when people do that because I'm watching them lose. I'm like, not my God. No. Not my Lord.
Oh, I'm not going to tell everybody what we're talking about. You and I know we're referencing, but anyway, all right, but yes. Shout out to Big Daddy.
There you go.
but yeah, man, I appreciate it, man. That's it. That's all I got, man. Your boy turned a year older, and I know you got a birthday coming up. I'm not gonna say how old I am, but I made it.
Ain't how old you are, it's how old you feel and how old you look.
Well, yeah, I'll leave that to the world. But I appreciate it, man. I had a good time with you. Like I say, the only thing's missing. I ain't been to a Texas game yet. I done said on this podcast about 2 or 3 times.
Well,
I'll beat the game.
I skipped what I was mad at, but I was going to be mad at how I think the SEC, I think, again, brittle ass spirit people, the world bullied them into, Texas has such a weak SEC schedule and this, that, and the other. And now this upcoming, not only next year, but this year, who spends a month away from home? That's crazy. And I think that's a bit, that was a bit to appease the masses.
Ain't that something?
But whatever.
I know. I just tell people that ain't got nothing to do with it. Shut the hell up. Oh,
I can't wait till we go undefeated in the month of October, and I'm gonna be that. What's that? Jason Tatum meme with his mama. What they gonna say now?
Oh,
what
yeah.
Say now? Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna be at the next November game. It's October, and we beginning of October. We're talking about November, but
Yeah, I think it's Arkansas or something.
oh man, but yeah, I appreciate you, E man. But yeah, good show. We're looking forward to. We'll be back next week to talk about this Kansas victory in Orlando. You got to speak it and
Manifest it.
Yeah, if Jalen Daniel has another day like this, yes, it's in the bag. You know, so
I will say that if he has a day like that and y'all lose again, you're in trouble.
Well, I won't even let that evil spirit creep into me. So, as always, rock chalk.
Praise the Lord and hook 'em horns, baby.
All right, we'll see y'all next time.
Hey, see y'all from Texas.